welcome to this deep dive. Today we're getting into something pretty delicious sounding. Baked Feta Mashed Potatoes. Our mission here isn't just, read a recipe. It's to figure out what makes this dish tick. Why is it special?
Exactly. We've looked at the details, and yeah, it's definitely not your standard mash. There's this idea of creamy comfort meeting a sort of Mediterranean kick.
Right, and that baked element seems key too.
Absolutely, that golden finish.
Okay, so let's break it down. The foundation, it starts with Yukon Gold potatoes. Why those specifically?
Well, Yukon Golds, they have this perfect starch level, not too much, not too little. Meaning they get really fluffy and creamy when you mash them, but they don't turn into like wallpaper paste,
Okay. Avoids the gluey trap. Makes sense.
Precisely.
And then the usual suspects go in for mashing butter, warm milk, bit of sour cream, garlic. Standard comforting stuff.
That's your classic creamy base, yeah. But then comes the interesting part.
The
feta, yeah. And the recipe calls it tangy, rich, and full of character. And importantly, it says folded in.
Folded, not just mixed. What's the difference there?
Well, folding, you're trying to keep some distinct pockets of that feta intact. So instead of it melting completely uniformly, you get these little bursts of salty flavor as you eat it. It's less homogeneous.
Oh, I like that. Little flavor bombs?
Kind of, yeah.
And then, okay, this is where it really deviates. You don't just serve it. You bake it.
Right. You put the mash in a dish, drizzle some olive oil over it.
Olive oil? Interesting.
Yeah, adds a bit more of that Mediterranean vibe and helps with the browning. Then into a pretty hot oven, 375 Fahrenheit, that's 190 Celsius.
For how long?
About 15, maybe 20 minutes. You're looking for that irresistible toasted finish, as the source calls it.
It's got a bit of a crust.
Exactly. A slightly crisp golden surface, but underneath it's still super creamy. It's all about that textural contrast.
That sounds fantastic, actually, that difference in texture.
It really elevates it.
And there are optional garnishes mentioned too, fresh thyme or chives.
Yeah, just a little something fresh on top. Cuts through the richness, adds a pop of color and aroma. Thyme would lean more earthy, chives a bit more oniony. Both work well.
Nice touch. And serving suggestions, obviously good with roasted meats, grilled veggies, the usual partners for mash.
Sure, but it also mentions it's almost good enough to just eat on its own with a spoon.
Which says a lot about how flavorful it must be.
It does. It's positioned as more than just a plain side dish.
Let's talk practicalities quickly. Prep time. Cook time.
Pretty reasonable. About 15 minutes prep, 35 minutes cooking, potatoes boiling, plus the baking time. So total under an hour, around 50 minutes.
Okay, doable on a weeknight maybe? And calories?
The info suggests around 280 calories per serving based on 6 servings. So satisfying, but not, completely over the top.
All right. So pulling it all together, the aha moment here isn't just, hey, put feta in potatoes.
No, it's more subtle. It's the way you add the feta, folding it in, and then the technique of baking it. How those things work together to create something that tastes and feels quite different from regular mashed potatoes. The baking develops flavor, changes the texture.
It transforms it.
It really does. It takes simple components and makes something, a bit more complex and interesting just by applying heat differently.
So, wrapping this up, the key takeaway is that this recipe gives a classic side dish a really flavorful textural twist.
Yeah.
Feta brings the tang, baking brings the contrast.
Absolutely. It's a great example of how a couple of smart additions and changing one step the baking can really reimagine something familiar.
Which leads us to a final thought for you, the listener. How often can a simple technique like baking, or maybe grilling or pickling, completely change the game for ingredients you use all the time? What other combinations or techniques might unlock surprising new flavors or textures in your own kitchen? Something to think about.
Definitely food for thought.
Thanks for joining our deep dive today.